Hey everybody, it's Nerdy30. I wanted to say thank you for joining me for episode 2 of my Iron Man series. I apologize for how long it's taken me to get episode 2 out, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I really have appreciated the interaction that I've gotten from those that have watched, and wanted to say welcome to the new subscribers that have joined because of the video. I wanted to also say that I believe I have figured out the sizing issue of from the last video. I believe I had the wrong aspect ratio set. So after playing around with it, I think I got it dialed in. And when you're on full screen, everything is nice and legible. So thank you once again for joining me for episode 2, and we'll get started. So in episode 2 here, we're going to be going over some basic things I wanted to do that I think are going to help benefit the account in the long run. For me, one of my biggest challenges that I think I'm going to face are basic resources, food, armor, and some base levels. But one thing I did talk about in episode 1 was I had some goals for the account. Inspired by the One Chunk series of play, I decided that setting some goals would be a good way to help measure the growth of the account, give me something to work towards instead of just flopping around. So let's go over those goals. The first goal that I want to achieve is to get a full set of rune armor. To me, growing up, rune armor was always an in-game goal that I never got. Before I delved into membership, I think I did wind up beating Dragon Slayer, and I just remember how proud I was of that moment. And I feel like having a full set of room not only gives a good base set of armor to train with, but it's a relatively attainable goal that is kind of a milestone from switching from early game into the mid game. So we'll be chasing down that first set of armor. The second goal I have, as I mentioned in episode 1, is I need to have some money. So I think a good starting point that's going to allow me to not be bottlenecked by every little skill that I have to buy materials for or whatnot was a simple cash stack of 1,000,000 gold. For being a self-sufficient account, I think that should be more than enough to help, just cover any expenses or supplies that I may incur as we progress through the game. Never played this game mode before, so it's going to be interesting to see how I make that first 1,000,000 gold, because it's a method I've never had to use before. The third goal for the account is going to be having a 500 total level. I think that this goal is going to be good because it's going to require me to push into a little bit of skilling, because I'm wanting this account to essentially be a main focused account, but with the difficulty of playing as an Iron Man. And so it's going to require me to skill a little bit, which is going to help push towards that 500 total level. But I'm also going to have to think smartly into what levels I get, into how it's going to benefit me in the game versus just mindlessly grinding like you can on a non-Iron Man. The fourth goal for my account is to get a rune weapon that is not the woodcutting axe. The woodcutting axe is going to be a tool that I chase eventually when I'm leveling up woodcutting. I think, once again, that rune weapon has that old school symbolism of transitioning from a noob into a more serious account. I'm not quite sure what weapon I would going to be looking for. Probably a rune scimitar. That is kind of the weapon that comes to mind when you think of old school RuneScape, and maybe a rune two-hander, because I did always like that weapon growing up. Next goal for me is to achieve 50 clue scrolls and 50 clue reward caskets. I've always enjoyed the mini games and the side things that you can do in this game, such as clue scrolls. And honestly, my favorite mini game in the whole game has always been barrows. So I'm going to be chasing clue scrolls, mostly beginner, until I get some more requirements on easy scrolls, because those rewards can help me early in game. So remember, I will be opening caskets as I get them, but 50 is the number I'm shooting for, and maybe I'll even get a rare mini. Goal number 6 for my account is 43 prayer for overhead protection prayers. Running around in the game, having the ability to protect yourself from all forms of combat is super helpful. Fun fact, one of my first serious accounts, I was on Troll Mountain heading towards the God Wars dungeon, and I had seen somebody die, and they dropped 200,000 bronze arrows and a full set of rune. And me being the noob that I was, ran in to pick it up, but didn't have protection prayer, so I died as well. So I hope to never run into that situation again. Goal number 7 on my account is pretty self-explanatory, with 55 magic. Once again, I don't know if you remember from episode 1, I mentioned that I really do like magic. It's one of my favorite skills. 55 magic obviously unlocks this spell, High Alchemy, which will allow me to turn a lot of items I get that maybe I don't have a use for or a need for into cash. So I think working towards this goal will also help work towards the goal of getting a gold cash stack. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to achieve it yet, so researching these methods, but that is a goal that I have. Goal number 8 that I have for this account is going to be 38 herb lore, with the intention of being able to make prayer potions. This is a goal that I think is going to take a little longer to get, because training herb lore is going to require me to gather herbs, like the good old days off of something like Chaos Druids, farming. So I'm not quite sure once again how I'm going to get there, because I'm still studying and learning Iron Man methods, but 38 herb lore might not be so beneficial now, but will definitely benefit me in the long run, being able to make prayer potions. And finally, goal number 9 is going to be the Easy Argo Diary for the Arty Cloak. The cloak is going to give me my first useful cape slot item, but also will give me unlimited teleports to the western half of the map and give me relatively close access to a altar to recharge my prayer. I think this is going to be one of the first goals I shoot for, because it'll be super beneficial in the early game, I think. So that's it. That's all 9 goals I have for the account. I feel like they're pretty decent goals for early game. If there's something I'm missing, please make a comment and let me know if there's other goals I should achieve. Also wanted to say thank you for making it this far into the video. If you like the content, please consider giving my channel a like, sharing this with your friends, and subscribing. I wanted to say that all mini games and random events that I get, I will be doing, because the randomized rewards could be pretty useful. For example, this first pinball event I had, I got 5 cut emeralds, which, while I can't necessarily do anything with them right now, as you'll see shortly, I was actually able to sell to the gem trader in Falador. So I think I made, I don't know, 1,800 gold or so off of them, 1,500 gold, which, is huge for such an early level in the game. For those of you that don't know, there is a gem trader It was south of West Falador Bank, right there next to the White Knight's Castle. I'm sure a lot of people knew about it, but it took me a minute to remember it, and you may have seen in some of the B-roll footage that there was actually me checking the map just to make sure I knew about uh, that I was correct with what I knew about that shop. So you will see me getting a lot of items like this, like if I don't have a use for them now, or if it's something that is relatively easier to get in the future as I level up. Uh, if I can sell it for money, sell it for money. I'm gonna try to look at everything that at least has two purposes. So if I can't use it, maybe I can trade it for experience down the road, or in this case, sell it and get some much needed money at the beginning of the series. Just wanted to give everybody a reminder that all imps are kill on sight because I am trying to get the beads for Imp Catcher. The skilling that you're seeing me do now, maybe you've noticed I was doing in the past, and you'll see later in the video, I'm currently working on trying to unlock items I need for beginner clue scrolls. One of those common steps is Charlie, and so I'm working towards being able to give him raw trout in an iron ore so I can not have to drop those clue scrolls as I get. As you see, sometimes playing, we make mistakes. Like this one, I was sitting here thinking that I could fish herring at the barbarian fly fishing level spot, so I had to run all the way back to Lumbridge, my tail tucked between my legs, to get my fishing up so I could start catching trout, which once again had the dual purpose of being able to do beginner clue scrolls, and cooked trout is my first goal for food for healing in the low level, since I have 25 or so hit points and each cooked trout heals 7. Thought it was a pretty decent place to start since it's a relatively easy level to achieve, and the resources to get the food are relatively easy to get at such a early part in the account. So I'm had about 130 fish I think I needed to catch in order to hit level 25 fishing. So I'm just finishing that up real quick so I can continue progressing forward. So through most of these montages, I'm not going to narrate too much because there's really not too much going on. I may jump in to kind of give you my train of thought or kind of give you a point to what I'm doing and whatnot, so it's not just background music with me running around. Also, remember, I will be stopping as frequently as possible to pick up my runes from the magic tutor in Lumbridge, so you will see that a lot throughout the footage. So here is my second fail of the video. I finally got 25 fishing, and I brought a fishing pole, not a fly fishing rod. So I had to, once again, do the walk of shame, back to Port Ceremon to the fishing shop there to get the correct fishing pole. At this point in time is when I really started to rethink my life choices and realize that maybe I don't need to be playing quite so late and quite so long. This video, final cut, should be about 40 minutes, and I compressed it down from about 7 hours of gameplay. So I think going forward, I'm going to try to shoot for smaller episodes, not so much time being put out, because it takes a couple hours of just going through footage and kind of highlighting what's important and what's not. This right here is why I implemented the kill on sight rule for all imps. That was the yellow bead. That was my third bead I needed, and got all of my first 3 beads by just passively killing imps as I was traversing around the map or working on another goal if one popped in. And you can see a little later in the video, when I hunt down that last bead, it took substantially longer. I think probably longer than I did getting all 3 of the other beads put together. So that is why, once again, I had the kill on sight rule for imps. One trick that I did pick up was the teleport chronicle tool, where you can teleport using the chronicle to the Champions Guild and use that hot cold device to tell you where the item could be. And there's a nice wiki article that shows you where the locations are. Or you could just use the map overlay, Runelight, depending on which way you want to go. But it's little tips and tricks like that that, quality of life really do enjoy. Part of this series' goal for me personally is to reconnect with just the basics of the game that I fell in love with and I've been playing for such a long time. The second clue that I've done on the account, and 3 nature runes may not be a massive reward right now. That's one of those things I was talking about, being able to tuck away in the future, because seeing those nature runes just reaffirms how excited I am to get to 55 magic in unlocking high out. Now this is where one of my oopsies happened. I know about the combat triangle, obviously, and melee is weak to magic, but what I forgot about was drinking jugs of wine while rate cheap food from the beginning lowers your attack level. And when you have almost no attack levels, you're pretty much never going to hit. So as much as I hated to switch over to using magic, because at the time I had less than 150 casts of runes, I really was wanting to chase the blue robe top for the intact bonus for my magic skill, which is what I'm doing here. So I hated using the runes, but I'm trying to get more casts banked for any future bossing or questing or whatnot, or if I need to kill something that's a little bit higher than my combat level would allow, those runes are going to allow me to do so. And there it is, Wizard's Rope Top in blue. One of the things I have absolutely enjoyed about Iron Man mode so far is like every drop is meaningful. It's truly, seeing the reward from your effort. And I just can't wait to get to those higher tier items. As I said earlier, one of my favorite minigames is the Barrows minigame, and I absolutely cannot wait to get to Barrows and start getting some high level tank gear. Look at that, looking like an absolute unit, just slowly building up ourselves. This is the first food grind of the account. I've unlocked the cooking level and the fishing level required to obtain cooked trout, so I'm grabbing 40 or 50 pieces to have in the bank because coming up shortly I'm going to actually need to have some food. And after that debacle at the Wizard's Tower with the jugs of wine, I realized that the jugs of wine plan is not going to be sustainable long term for using other forms of combat, especially in the early part of the game where resources such as runes are so hard to find and to come across. One thing I did want to touch up on again was, you did see in that last montage, I ran into the fine clothing store there in Varrock Square to get a blue wizard skirt. Does not have any magic bonus, but fashion escape. Also, I did pick up a piece of range equipment. As I said, not all pieces of equipment are going to be hunted. Some, if I can buy and save some time, I'm going to. What I needed was the red bead for Imp Hunter, is the last bead I needed to collect, and I looked it up, and it looks like right south of Falador here at the gate is, I think I counted 3 Impling spawns, so it took quite a bit longer than I expected to actually get all 4 of the beads. And the reason that we are hunting for these beads is in the early game, the Amulet of Accuracy is a +4 attack bonus to all combat styles. So once again, while it's no, Fury or Amulet of Glory, it's not a bad upgrade when you have nothing at all. So the second award is, I think it's like 825 or 875 magic experience. I'm still low enough magic that I think I actually get a level off of it when I finally do get that bead. But the one thing that I will be focusing on shortly in the future upcoming videos is trying to start to use some early game questing to try to get some of those levels. There's no reason to waste a ton of time chasing levels if I can do a quest that will save me an hour. Because remember, I'm trying to do the balance of convenience versus self-sufficiency. One thing that I noticed when I was reviewing the footage is I had, I think, 4 or 5 blue wizard hat drops from imps while I was killing them, and they have the same drop rate as the blue wizard rogue top, so I could have probably snatched one from that eventually, but unfortunately it did not happen for me, so I went and killed the wizard so I could get that magic attack bonus up. And as you can see, we finally got the bead. I think that took me almost an hour of killing these imps. I swear, it took way longer than it should have to get those beads. But between the staff, which I did buy from the staff shop at Barak, the wizard's hat, the rope top, and the amulet, I believe my full magic attack bonus now is like plus 13 or 15. We'll see that shortly, but trying to take out some of these early quests and get these low-hanging fruit done, just will pay dividends for training and just, as I think, quality of life, as I've said. And once again, I'm doing what's fun, not necessarily doing the best method or the meta. I don't find meta methods, the mother of all or whatever that stands for, to be my best method. I do, not trying to get 4 experience an hour, but I am trying to balance growing the account but doing it in a fun manner. But I finally have achieved what I was hoping for with having at least a basic set of attack equipment for magic. So now I can auto-cast spells. We're not splashing so much now, and it's going to be probably my primary method of killing bosses in the future. We're knocking out Vampire Hunter while I was in the area, and as you can see, this is my 3rd fail. I went to the wrong freaking pub. I don't know what my brain was thinking when I went there, but keep in mind that this footage was shot at like 3 in the morning. This boss fight is always symbolic for me because it jumps you to 20 attack with the experience reward, and I've always knocked this quest out when I start a new account, and it allows me to shoot straight to mithril, and I think it saves a little bit of money not having to go from bronze to iron to steel to black. I could just go and buy a mithril scimitar from the scimitar shop there in Al-Qarid, which is what I wound up doing. I think I haven't done that yet, or maybe we've been over. I don't know. I ran by the shop one time and saw it, and had 1,000 gold. So the last step that I really wanted to work on this evening that I filmed all of this was finishing up the Stronghold of Security so I could get the rest of the reward money to start up for the account. One thing I think I noticed with this was, did they turn down the aggression on monsters? Because I swear I wasn't getting attacked by a lot of things I should have in the past. So if I am wrong on that or not sure, please leave it in the comments so I know what to expect. That just kind of caught me off guard. So I did want to take a break from killing things, and I did knock out the Rune Mysteries quest. Since I was in the area, wasn't quite tired, ready for bed yet, but I figured, it's a good quest to get knocked out. So I did take care of that, and that's what this running around back and forth is. I'm going to spend the last several minutes of the video just killing goblins. I decided that I wanted to shoot for a base set of 20 in combat stats. Attack, strength, defense, range, magic. Figured building some hit points levels as well was not a bad thing to have. Once again, not quite sure what was going on with the monster aggressions, but the last thing I want to do is run by something and get one shot because I have 12 hit points. Also, was working towards the goal of collecting clue scrolls because goblins drop beginner clues, I believe, at a rate of 1 in 64. So you'll see me throughout this montage going and killing goblins and doing the clues. Now, one thing I did want to say is I am aware with those maze randoms you can milk the crates or the reward chests for buku resources, but from my understanding of it, it takes like 2 hours to do, and I just don't have the time. Little secret is the first 2 episodes and some footage for the next incoming episodes was actually already recorded in one weekend. I had a 4-day weekend. This clue scroll here was our first equipment upgrade, the black full helm. Super excited to see it. I did buy the Mithril Scimitar from the shop in Al Kharid after I completed the Stronghold of Security. I did point that out. Or I wanted to point that out as I saw it in the footage. So sit back and enjoy, and I'll jump back in a little bit. Super excited for this clue because getting the koi from the oak short bow, that was some nice range equipment and upgrades that I'll put to use when I'm pushing for 20 range. One thing I did want to point out, I've noticed in the footage, I did find a plugin, I think it was the valuable loot drop in RuneLite, that I set the threshold for any item with a GE value of 250 coins or above is highlighting that. That's not necessarily obviously applicable to me because I'm not selling to the GE, but I try to pick up all the drops, especially early in the game, because money is money. $20 is $20, bro. But I wanted to put that on as just an extra layer in case something drops that I missed, and I didn't want to miss a 1 in 5,000 drop rate for something such as the Champion Challenge Screw from Gauntlet, which is something I hope to see someday. So you'll see in this next clue step that one of the items I was supposed to have was a body tiara. This is where it comes into play when I said in episode 1 that I may choose to omit certain things. As I said, I'm not playing by any official rules. It's just one of those things that if it's convenient, I can do it. If not, if it's going to take an hour or two, is the juice worth the squeeze type situation? And to me, hunting on the body talisman and getting the crafting level for tiara and all that just wasn't worth it for an easy clue. So I wound up not doing it. I really don't like dropping clues, but once again, this was 7 hours of footage compressed down into around 40 minutes. So the one thing that I've been not trying to do is make the footage load take any longer than it's supposed to or needs to. But with that all being said, I think we made a lot of progress on the account today. This episode, I am planning on keeping ensouled heads. By the way, I didn't know if you noticed I was banking those. I know it's prayer experience down the line, so any prayer experience that I can get and save some money on, I'm going to. But we got a lot accomplished with this episode. We got the Blue Wizard's rope top and hat, and of course a blue skirt for Fashionscape. Got range equipment. I did buy the hard leather body, or the leather body, but the koi from the Oak Shortbow or a drop from Clue Scroll was a fantastic equipment that I can't wait to put into use. So if you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you joining me for episode 2 of my Iron Man series. Please turn on that notification bell if you want to see more. Once again, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I am Nerdy30, and I'm signing out.